Thank you. As a matter of fact.
We're thinking about that thing right now. Like going downtown that way. Yeah.
I'm very sorry that the chairs are still up. I was grading papers on that. No, I just wrote that.
You're welcome. Great.
I'm Gil Brown, and not your chance to leave if that name doesn't sound familiar. But it's nice to have you. This is my 15th open house, and I would think by this time I wouldn't be nervous at all, but I always get a little nervous. I have a lot to tell you. I think probably the main goal of the evening is just to give you a chance to see your child's teacher, and see what he sounds like, and see what my philosophy is, and all the things that will make, I think, the year go a little more smoothly for you and your child. I started in the school district as a speech therapist, and I did that for 2.5 years, and I decided I would really like to try my hand at teaching in a classroom. So I went in, after 2.5 years of it, into the district office, and I told the administrators, you know, I'd really like to try a classroom if you have an opening. They said, yeah, we'll keep you in mind. And the day after I went in, I had a job that I was so enthusiastic about. And I teach 6th grade because I love the age. I think it's a real important job. Whenever anybody asks me what I do, I'm proud when I say I'm a teacher, because it's a time of transition for children. They're becoming adults. They're learning a lot of things. They're formulating adult ideas and concepts. And it's a time when I think I can have a lot of impact on a teacher. And so I kind of bump some things around. So you'll see social studies appearing in a couple of places, and science, but we try to cover all of those. I like to spend a lot of time on science. You're probably finding out that I'm a real picky teacher, and I have certain ways that I like kids to do things, but it's all kind of organized to achieve the end, which is really preparation for junior high school, which is the main goal. I'm really not looking at saying, here, this is the information I want kids to learn, but I'm looking at, this is the product, or these are the way I want kids to be when they go out. I want them to have all the skills necessary to succeed in junior high school. The main focus is, for me, and my students even can tell you what they are. If I ask them, what's the main reason you're here? What's the main reason I'm doing what I'm doing with you? They will tell you it's to prepare us for junior high school. And also in that, along that way, I really want to work to develop responsibility with the students. I'll ask them, what's the most important thing you learn about? And my students will tell me to learn about ourselves. I want them to have experience with both success and failure. And it's not that I think failure is good, but I recognize that students really learn more from adversity than from success. And so the class is structured to make it real challenging, knowing that if it's that way, they'll learn a lot. I want them to learn about themselves, and I want them to learn responsibility. And one of the mottos, in fact, as an example in the class that I have is, solve it yourself. And when students will come to me and ask me some question, you know, Mr. Brown, I don't have a pencil for this, or I don't have the notes, rather than tell them what they can do, I'll ask them, what are you going to do about it? And then I'll listen to them and say, okay, that's a good idea, or that's not a good idea. And hopefully by the end of the year they'll be more responsible and they'll understand more about the best way that each of them can do things. I'm not a type of teacher. I have certain ways that I like things done, especially in terms of papers and assignments. But as far as study times and organization and skills like that, I expect students to find their own best way to do it. Because I recognize that everyone here who went to school had a different way that they did things. You know, you might have studied well after dinner, or you might have studied well before dinner, and that's what I want students to find out this year, to learn a lot about themselves, and that'll make them more confident as they go into junior high school. The curriculum that we have sort of centers around these books that are up here. The main ones are the ones in the center. We have a reading book that has reading and writing exercises. It integrates English and language. And then as a supplement, I have a Macmillan English text, which is an older text, but it teaches a lot of grammar. And I think the foundation that students need to know before they become competent in writing. We have our new social studies text, which is on ancient civilization, which we haven't opened yet because, as you probably know, your students are studying for tests that's tomorrow on the overview that I gave them, because I thought an overview would make the text seem like it made more sense. And we have a science book that I use rarely. I have developed my own science units, in physics and oceanography and astronomy, and they're really designed not to teach information, but to give kids a real love for science. I love science. When I'm teaching it, I'm excited when I'm doing it. It carries over to the kids. They're excited when they go out and point out stars or tell you what kind of whale it is, or what kind of airplane is flying over. And the ultimate goal is to just make them like science. And it's really a pleasure to me when my junior high school students come back. My kids that are now in junior high school come back and they say, well, I'm taking astronomy. And I can tell they're real excited about that, and that's just what I want. It's trying to reach this goal of getting them ready for junior high school. The math class I have is 6th grade level math. All of the teachers use a different text to meet the different needs of the students, but we're all teaching basically 6th grade level and expanding it and enlarging it sometimes. And then we have some other supplemental. We're reading The Hobbit right now. We just began that, so I want to warn you, when they start reading, it's overwhelming. It's a really hard book to start, but about halfway through, you won't have to spend so much time reading to them, but I know that many parents have to do that at the beginning. Really the curriculum, rather than teaching them skills to be able to get through the curriculum, I use it the other way around. I use the curriculum to teach them skills. And so the result really isn't that they learn knowledge, but it's that they learn study skills. And I use the curriculum to do that. I want them to have the skills necessary to succeed in junior high, high school, and even college. And some of the notes that they're taking now, I tell them, you probably use this in college. And indeed, English handbooks that kids made 6 years ago, they're taking off with them to other schools. So it's exciting for me to hear that. We have a pretty well-structured class. It's pretty strict. Students have homework that's due regularly. Usually it's about 45 minutes worth, but it will vary. At the beginning of the year, students usually have to take a lot more time to do it. And 45 minutes is usually the minimum. I tell them, well, if you want to get an A or B from me, you're going to have to work really hard. You may have to spend 2 or 3 hours. Which kind of leads into the grading system, that I'm a real hard grader. It's kind of my reputation. If it's criticism, that's okay. It's criticism I can live with because, again, the ultimate thing that I want is to prepare kids for junior high school, and I use grades that way. That if students know exactly where they are, and they understand the grading system, and the grading system is fair, then it's no problem for them. A C in here is really good. That means the student's right in the middle of the class. What happens is that after living within that framework for a year, when the students go to junior high school, the hop to junior high school is really a nice, easy transition, where the grades relative probably to here are somewhat deflated because the pool of students is now larger. So it's kind of a philosophy of using grades as a tool, because in 6th grade, realistically, grades don't mean a lot, but I can use them as levers, especially to get the really high kids, to challenge them, make it hard for them to get A's and B's, then I can pull them out farther, and that's what I want. Really, to get an A from me, you have to be perfect. And it's hard, but it always leaves room for growth, which is kind of nice. So anyway, I promised my students that I would tell you all that. Because they are real concerned, and they go, oh gee, I don't know any adults who know that. Because the comments, it's real interesting. When students come back to me and they're excited about something, it usually begins at home. That the comments their parents have made have inspired them. They will come in, we're in math, we're practicing Chisenbaum, which is sort of a bigger math. And we're doing math with exponents and negatives and positives. And my students will come back and they'll say with great pride, my parents don't know how to do this. And I think that's really stimulating for them. It's the most wonderful thing a parent can do, is just treat them like, gee, they're learning the smartest stuff in the world. And nobody you know knows that. And in some cases it may be true, but it's good to say it a lot because it really gets them going. Being available to help them with assignments is a great help to me. Directing them but not doing is really the best way to do it. Kind of give them encouragement, push them in the right direction, is to encourage them to be consistent, which is a hallmark of good students in this class. I'm not really looking for students to get A's on papers right now, but I'm looking for them to get them in and do a reasonably good job, because that gives me a baseline from where I can work. Another really important thing is, if I can plead with you to encourage good attendance with your children. If you have to take them out, do your best to kind of get them out at times where it won't interfere too much, which means out of school hours. Because from the time we get in here in the morning, I talk to the kids like I'm talking to you. We just go take off like we're a train down the track, and there's a lot of information. And I've seen kids who miss a day, and it takes them a month and a half to catch up. It's not that I make it hard to catch up, but they've missed the stories, or the analogies, or the lecture, and copying the notes down from someone else just isn't the same as hearing it and discussing it and sharing it and being part of the experience. So, but I also, in the same token, I recognize that sometimes it's important to take them out for things. for appointments, doctor's visits, or if they're sick, we'll try our best to work around it. Also, every now and then, parents need to have a day with their kids, and I think that's important too. And as a parent myself, I recognize that there are times you need to be with your family, and you just need to go off and have a skiing trip or go to Disneyland. So I'm not going to get upset with you if you do that. But I'd like you all to know that missing time is hard on the kids, and so it's nice if it can be at least limited. If there are any problems that come up, let me know. If it's anything that's interfering or impacting on their ability to work, it's nice if I know about it, or just make sure that your child tells me, really at this age, I like them to take on the responsibility of letting me know things. And if your son or daughter can complete a homework assignment, I really like it if the children can come to me and say why, instead of having a note written. If they tell me, and I have any questions, I can call you, but that's kind of leading them into adulthood, which I certainly want to encourage. And during the year also we'll be doing lots of special activities, and I'd love to have parents come along. It's really nice to have parents help me in the class with grading, but the structure is that during the day there's not a lot that parents can do. Now I can't tell if this is disappointment or excitement. Still working on it. At the end of the year, I'll have about 300 slides taken, and I'll put them all together in a big slideshow with 2 projectors and a Dissolve unit and soundtrack, and it's really neat, so look forward to that. That gives you a chance to relive the whole year. When students come in the morning, they stand, and I stand, and we sort of nod at each other, and we see who gets tired first. This is a Monday morning ritual of copying out homework. This is our mascot, Mandy. She's grown rather attached to Charlie. I also need to apologize that I think probably there are children that aren't represented here. And it's not through lack of effort. I mark down every time I take a picture, but I was experimenting with a new flash, and I lost probably about 15 pictures that just had to get trashed. Nothing came out on them at all. So by the end of the year, I really keep close tabs on them, so I get everybody. And I apologize for those of you that can't find your child. And this picture Bo is pointing out, of course, Antarctica. Now this is not post, right? Kids are like this. When I ask a question, their arms nearly come out of their sockets. And we had a little trouble in the classroom this day. So. I'm going to give my kids a hard time. You're laughing more at what I say than they do. So. This was what we started writing what we accomplished during 1 week, as you probably know. And we got up to about halfway through Thursday and then ran out of room. This was a big hit at our house. This baby snake she finds. That's Freddie. Well, Freddie is a smaller one, I'm sorry. The big one is Lindsay. And this is one of the flags that you don't see up. Well, that's beginning to our year. Thank you.
Setting up cardboard, black paper, maybe designing a few
Did you
things.
actually have a machine?
We had one
I
last
got a
week.
message on my machine, but I got it after the meeting.
That's how we came up with this.
Yeah. Okay, we got this organized. We just need desks and mobs to help get it built. Get it.
Oh, you're really good. I have